In this video, we're going to define cluster analysis, discuss some of its potential uses and limitations. Specifically, we'll be talking about k-means cluster analysis. So, what is cluster analysis? Cluster analysis is the task of grouping a set of objects in such a way that objects in the same group or cluster are more similar to each other than to those in other groups. What are the uses of cluster analysis? Well, clustering is commonly used in machine learning, pattern recognition, market research, data mining, image processing, and information retrieval. As a data mining function, cluster analysis serves as a tool to gain insight into the distribution of data to observe characteristics of each cluster. Clustering can help organizations to use their data through image segmentations, through grouping of web pages, market segmentation, and information retrieval. For example, in a retail business, let's say a clothing store, you can use clustering to identify customer shopping behavior. You can look at customer retention, you can track shopping behaviors, and other. In the financial services industry, clustering is used for things like risk management, customer segmentation, and credit scoring. Another example of how clustering can be used is in biology. You can categorize genes with similar functionalities to gain insight into structures that are inherent to specific populations. So what is k-means clustering? K-means clustering is basically a process to split the data into k segments, where each segment or group has a center that relates to the mean value or the average value of the members within that group. So the mission here is to place the center points in a place where the total of the sum of distances between the centers and the members in the respective groups is minimized. So some limitations. K-means attempts to divide the data into groups where basically each of those members have similar items and they can be summarized by the mean. So, for example, let's say we have data around cities and profits. If we created two clusters, profitable cities versus unprofitable cities, we can have clusters where we basically show profitable versus unprofitable cities for a sales company. So these are examples of cluster names that if we're analyzing profit levels of a company, taking location into consideration. So let's get into the limitation of this technique. Basically, the technique holds the following assumptions, and if these assumptions are violated, then k-means fails to work accurately. So the three assumptions are: number one, the variance of the distribution of each attribute or variable is spherical. Number two, all of the variables have the same variance. And lastly, the prior probability for all k clusters is the same. Additionally, if you try to run k-means on uniform or non-cluster data, you will still get clusters. It doesn't tell you when the data no longer has clusters to create. So it's always important to know the limitations of the algorithms that you're working with. In summary, by playing with clusters, you can basically explore patterns in the data that would be difficult to pick up with the naked eye. So try to use some tools or software such as Tableau, which actually now has ability to do cluster analysis in its analytics pane. And I've actually created a video where I walk through two examples of how we can use cluster analysis on a scatter plot and also in a map view. Thank you for watching.